Consent 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Yo bhante viditvāna majjhe mantāna lippati tang bhūmi Maha purisoti sota sibbani machchagati. Dear sisters and the devotees, in the morning discussion, morning talk, we took the quotation from the Majjhe Sutta, called as Majjhe Sutta. It appears in the Anguttara Nikaya, the gradual sayings, a book of 6, and it is a kind of a discussion reported in the canon during the contemporary time of the Buddha. And it happened in Migadaya, the Varanasi, where the Buddha delivered the very first sermon, the Dhammajiva Sutta. And there had been a kind of a discussion hall, and monks used to go there and raise questions and then discuss among themselves, even without the Buddha and the other senior prominent monks. So in this time, the particular stanza that I recited was the topic. And it was delivered by the Buddha. Sutta, and some have by heart it and taken as the topic of the discussion. And then one presented it to the community, and one particular monk going to give an answer for that. The direct translation given in for this stanza is, Yo ubhante vidatvāna, whoever may be, knowing the two extremes, Majjhe mantāna lippati, and avoiding two extremes, he dwell upon the middle part, but even then not attached to that middle. If someone is so strategic and so skillful in this case, in this kind of a progress, then the Buddha says, I wish to call him as a great person. He will be overcoming the weaver, the paste, the universal or super glue that we attach to this samsara, or this perpetual suffering, birth and death, rebirth, and all the kind of perpetual suffering. So therefore, one has to understand the two extremes and dwell upon the middle, but even then without a special attachment or assuming the middle part as myself. And then only one can get rid of this root cause for the samsaric journey, namely the tanha, or the desire. And in this particular stanza, it is been recognized as a weaver or teaching person, or whoever may be doing kind of this sewing or stitching. So after presenting, the one particular monk is asking, in this particular case, under this context, what does it mean by the first, the extreme, what is the second extreme? As far as the two extremes are concerned, what is the first extreme, what is the second extreme, what is the middle? And who is this, the weaver, the person who is teaching each other? And the first answer, we took it for the today's topic, and there one particular monk is telling, the first, the extreme is the contact, the passa. The second one is the arising of the contact. The third one is the the middle is the very cessation of the contact, and if someone avoid the contact itself and it's arising, and then manage to see the cessation of the contact, and even then, even the person is dwelling upon this cessation, not attached to it, that is the person the Buddha called as the Mahapurusha, the great person. And here the Sibbani, the weaver, is nothing but the desire. So this is the first interpretation given by the first monk. And so it appears like quite dry and quite philosophical, quite theoretical. And how can we people like sitting and meditating can take this as a guideline or instructions or instruction, and how can we put into practice. So what I suggested was, when we are practicing mindfulness on the in-breath and out-breath, usually we get contact with the breath due to this phassa, the contact of the breath. Otherwise, our mind is always get entangled with and connected with seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking, but not always associating a particular meditative object, something like in-breath and out-breath. So whenever we come to know that mind is not hearing, not seeing, not touching, but in the in-breath, that is according to the contact. Whenever we come to know the mind is with the out-breath, that is also due to the contact. So therefore, the particular person has to advert or divert the contact into the particular given object. Usually it is a neutral one, something like in-breath and out-breath. Then only he or she comes to know, now my mind is with that particular object. That is because of the contact. So therefore, the phassa, the contact, is knowingly or unknowingly serve the purpose. So how can we connect this into a meditative instruction? Is whenever someone is come to know the gushing air going through the nostrils, and when we are feeling this is in-breath gushing and this is out-breath gushing, the two things has to come into contact, then only we can say it is in-breath, not out-breath, not a sound, not a thought, not a pain. And when the outward gushing happens, the gushing air and the adverting of the mind be on the spot. That is why we can be certain and be assured that my mind is now only with the outward gush, the out-breath, not with in-breath, not with sound, not with thought kind of thing. So therefore, the gushing air must give the striking, and then the attentive mind, the meditative mind, the mindful mind must be there. Then only we can be sure that this is in-breath, this is out-breath. So when that happens, usually we come to know the out-breath when it comes to a certain amount of grossness, failing to see the beginning of the in-breath. Or otherwise we can say we are negligent to see the very beginning of the in-breath. Once it comes up to a certain grossness only, our mind become palatable to our mind, tangible to our mind, and early parts, that is we are not aware. So therefore, when we are meditating, what we have to do, if the in-breath and out-breath come in view with, come to face with, that is a great achievement, of course. One has to be aware, this now I am observing only the middle of the in-breath, which has been already grown, and if I can at all to see how the inception, how the start, how it come up to this gross level, then if you are keen enough, you can see it is coming from nothingness to the grossness. So more and more close attention will help you to see the beginning of the in-breath at the end of the in-breath, beginning of the out-breath, middle of the out-breath, end of the out-breath. That is why the Buddha in the Satipatthana Sutta and the other instructions specifically related with the Anapanasati, he says when the breath becomes short, breath becomes calm, breath becomes tamed, one has to observe very closely. That means by that time we have developed certain amount of mindfulness and the concentration. Now we can focus it. Now we can spot the breath in detail, not only to see the middle, but how the inception, how the starting. Or otherwise we can say, untrained mind usually spot the breath very delayed once it crosses. So when the breath and the mind become aligned, that is the refinement we have to see the very first, very starting of the in-breath, that is how it come into being, come into this grossness. So therefore, if someone is successful in the second stage also, can see the beginning of the breath, the middle of the breath, and beginning of the in-breath, out-breath, middle of the out-breath, like can see the contact as well as the arising of the contact. So this is how, whenever you advance in sitting meditation, be more, time-wise be more with the in-breath and out-breath, you must try to be alert, be diligent, be vigilant to see, not negligent to see the gross one, but the more and more skillfully you have to see diligently how the inception. When that happens, it is a great achievement. So therefore one can see in the normal classical way, I can see the beginning, the middle and the end. But usually our teachers, ancient teachers have observed that when the beginners start, even though he or she claim that I see the beginning, the middle and the end, they fail to see the end. They see only with the great effort and the achievement, only the middle and the beginning. Because our mind get hurt, our mind get upset, our mind get lose its setup whenever it sees the cessation, the breakage. It appears like a funeral, so therefore naturally our mind is hesitant to see the cessation part. So therefore whenever we see the beginning and the middle, by observing, mind becomes fully occupied, mind becomes very satisfied and contented, and it is naturally hiding and do away with observation of the end of the breath, end of the in-breath, end of the out-breath. So that is why this particular stanza says, when someone sees the contact, together with its beginning, the middle, the missing link is the cessation. But the tanha, the desire is it stitching each other, the passa, the contact, only with the beginning, not allowing one to see the end. If someone is very skillful and go and achieve to see the end, what the mental background will become is, the particular person will come and claim, my meditation is very boring, it is very monotonous, and it is uncertainty is there, fearfulness is there, and appear like beyond control. So therefore, whenever someone is managed to see the beginning as well as the end, feel like something nauseatic, feel like something irritating, feel like something uncomfortable, because our mind is never geared to see the cessation part, and that is of course, the middle part, that is what we have to trod, we have to travel. So therefore, but rational mind hate to see it. It feels nauseatic to see it. So that is why one has to be well instructed whenever it happens to understand this is what the desire is doing. Desire is hooking up the contact only with the beginning, not allowing room to see the end. But the third stage is, after good instructions and be prepared, if someone to see the middle part, that is the cessation, each in-breath is ceases to exist, each out-breath is ceases to exist, each sound, each pain, each thought arising to just for the cessation. So when that happens, one hilariously feel that I got the middle part. I managed to see the cessation part. And then there's yet another trap, yet another pithole, whereby he or she may be proud to say, I managed to see the middle part, therefore I must never go back and I must never expect any kind of deterioration whereby again I will go to see only the middle or just the contact and kind of thing, assuming kind of a moralistic kind of career, whereby whenever again come back to the natural state, it appears like a deterioration, it appears like a backward, and therefore self-hatred and the discouragement can happen. Not only that, whenever he or she see another person only associating the beginning, consider they are inferior like. Consider I am a superior, they are inferior, and so you make a discrimination. Whenever this kind of happens, your conceit, your desire and your views proliferating in a perverted manner. So therefore, even though you sorted out the middle path, you must not claim or you must not assume it as this is me, this is myself and this is mine. After achieving this disclaimer is the gist of this meaning in this particular stanza. So therefore, if such a person achieves such a great thing and even then become very humble and to claim this is not me, this is not mine, this is not my soul, that is what the message the Buddha wanted to give, and that is the first interpretation of the this particular stanza. And then one can see how we get attached to our own achievements, how much we get attached into our own progress, even in the meditative part. So, person who is not started mindfulness, not started any meditation, they can't comprehend this kind of an idea because they have no their experience, in the sense they have no trial and error experience. So those who have experience can understand how profound is the way, how profound is the path. When and where it is being revealed, more and more subtle perversions can happen. So therefore we have to be open, make the situation more transparent, share among ourselves, those who are meditating, and each one must helpful for others to indicate, now you are off the track. You are with conceit, you are with desire, you are with views like. But whenever someone is indicating this kind of proliferation, it appears like forking into other psychologies, interrupting, forking fingers into the other psychologies and interruption. So therefore it is very dangerous. But the best way is understand oneself. That is the greatest job of the mindfulness. Mindfulness is such a thing. By associating and going keep on, mindfulness is becoming like a mirror. By observing again and again, you can see your own mistakes. So this is the first interpretation. So it cost maybe more than 15 minutes. So I try to give the basic idea without examples and exaggerations. So now I am inviting everyone to come into this discussion, and we have about 1 hour or little more for the discussion. So far I have 3 written questions. But anyway, before going to the written questions, if anyone has any question to raise, I invite them for the sake of discussion, open discussion.
What do you mean by the beginning and the end of the...
Yeah, the gross question was that in toto or in the gist, what does it indicate? Does it indicate to see the beginning, the middle and the end of any object? In the sense that is the meaning, that is the whole idea of this stanza. Whenever you observe the meditative object of meditation, for example, in-breath and out-breath, when it come to know, it has already come to the gross form. So therefore, when we feel the in-breath, it has already formed to the gross level, then only we can feel. And then when the out-breath happens, it's also gross. So that means till it becomes gross, we have been negligent, we have failed to see how it come from subtlety to the grossness. And therefore the Buddha says, once you see the in-breath and out-breath continuously, next stage is to see how this grossness forms, how this grossness come into being. So therefore you have to be specially alert, specially mindful, specially diligent, specially vigilant to see how this grossness come into being from the nothingness. That is the beginning. In the sense, in the common sense, how to see the beginning of the breath, how to see the beginning of the out-breath. And when we are in the day-to-day life, if we have become angry, when we come to know I am angry, that means anger has come up to a certain grossness. So next time also if you are a person with that kind of a hatred character, you must not hate the hatred. Instead you must try to see how this hatred come into being, the beginning. And if you are a kind of a person with so much of desires, when the desire come and you are overwhelmed and you have no choice. But next time also when the desire comes, if you are managed to see the forming up, how it come into being, then you are slowly taking the mastery, taking the control upon this desire. So therefore, starting from the in-breath and out-breath, something like a neutral object, when you are walking also, when you come to know that my right leg is touching the ground, that touch, that contact, already has come up to a certain grossness. So next time, again when you are keeping the right leg, more than see the touch, you see how it forms, how it comes into being. So likewise, your mindfulness has spread more and more towards the beginning. So this is what we call the radical reflection. This is what we call wise reflection. For that, you have to have the object already tamed, already come under control. And then only object again and again happens. In-breath again and again happens. Out-breath again and again happens. Each time you try to see how is the forming. So this is the second stage. At the beginning you have to tame the out-breath and in-breath. That means no sound, no thought, no pain. Only the breath comes. And each time you go the radical reflection to see one thought moment before. One thought moment before. Likewise, go backward. And when that happens, you are getting the sap. You are getting the juice. You are getting the essence of Dhamma. Otherwise, Dhamma is not appearing. It is already shielded, covered. So you have to penetrate through. This penetration is you do by seeing it while it's forming. It is the general proverb we call, you have to nip it at the bud level. Don't let it be mature level. When it becomes mature, you have to have an axe to cut. But if you can observe and get it under control, you can nip it at the bud. At the breath, it has no meaning. But when the anger happens, if you can see the anger when it's forming, easily you can control it. You can, irritations, anger, desire, that kind of mental situation, more you see when it is forming, the tender stage, the primordial form, more it is under control. So this is how the insight meditation is being explained. First you have to see the most common character or most common upbringing object, something like in-breath, out-breath, left, right and kind of thing, and try to see each and every one thought moment before. But even then, this is not the crux of the meaning, crux of the stanza, then only you become qualified to see the cessation. When your mind becomes trained, when the mind becomes geared, when the mind becomes seasoned and fine-tuned to see the beginning, then still your mind is camouflaged, your mind is avoiding the seeing of the cessation. And because it is, we are being told the cessation is something bad, cessation is something unauspicious, cessation is something destructive. So therefore our mind is naturally avoiding. But refining towards the beginning, you can make use this efficiency to see the cessation. When the cessation happens, the most distraction is you become fed up, you become monotonous, you become nauseatic, you become feel like getting up and go. So there you must be well instructed and be prepared, and then only you can understand first the middle, then the middle and the beginning and the middle, third is the beginning, the middle and the end. So this pattern, even now in the scientific discoveries and the physics, everyone is now understood. Whenever we are putting something under the microscope or in a research, we are observing already formed one. And it is inviting some, when scientific research becomes very lively, inviting, pushing them, how the formation happens. So that is what now particle physics and the most advanced physics now happening. They are now started the biggest laboratory in the world, and they are going to see whenever the particle happen, origin, to see they call the God particle, the creator particle. Whenever the blasting happens, what is the first and foremost particle happens, they say they live only very fraction of a second. So when blasting happens, they are focusing, LHC and the other laboratories see all the particles because they are rising and passing away. That is not what happens. What happens, they are transforming into yet another one. The Buddha did it without any laboratory, without anything. He presented this theory. Now scientists are also following the same. So mind, already trained mind, is fully equipped like a laboratory. For that only you can see. If the mind is not trained, you will only see the superficial, the middle, and say, claim you saw. That it is not the very inside kind of observation. Then what the Buddha says, see the middle, and in future try to see the middle together with the beginning. And later, see the beginning, the middle and the end. So this is the journey from middle to the first, the beginning, and then to the end. It is kind of a irrational pattern.
Venerable Sir, my name is Vanaya from Thailand. It is very lucky for us to have you here. You explain very detailed. You explain at the beginning of the story and until to the why Anapanasati. I will try to do my best. Even I haven't come here, I do in my kuti. And I would like to ask you one question. Why Anapanasati, breathing in and breathing out, is the main task? Why we are walking, sitting, we can do because we are sit permanently. But why we are in activity, like here, now, I am listening to you. So the mind will do so many tasks. Hearing you, and also observe mindfulness and awareness. But if the end of breathing already, I just observe the emptiness here, not breathing, and listen to you. Back to mindfulness and awareness. Listen to you writing and back to awareness, mindfulness. Is that right?
Yeah, that the first you try to raise the question, instead of sitting, why we are going for walking, why we are going for day-to-day activities. But latter part of your statement is explaining the same question, giving the answer for the same question. So, if I am to add, that is what you explain is I am really appreciating. What I have to add is, if you wish to learn driving a car, first you have to go to a place there are no much of people. You have to go to a place, there may be no much accidents. It is a big ground or parts without much of people. So then easily you can drive without no much of a challenges, and then the instructor will give, now give the clutch, now the brake, now the first gear, now the second gear. And once you go little by little understanding the machine, understand the clutch, the brake and everything, then slowly he will teach you the first gear, second gear, third gear, and then slowly he will introduce you to the other places where a little people are moving. And there still he will say, if you are going to meet with an accident, definitely it is your mistake. Whatever the people naughty think they are doing. So therefore he has to train with little bit of people. But after getting the license, if you are going to say, I train under the condition of no people, so please give me a job whereby no roads must be no with people. If it is so, I will be a good driver. So can you get a job? No. You have to be ready with the normal street. So it is full of, in Sri Lanka, cows, dogs, people, merchants, all the kind of stuff. Even then, if you meet with an accident, that's the first and foremost thing is the driver has to pay the fine because you have not avoided the accident. The government is asking for more and more tax. So likewise the Buddha says, our ear, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and the mind is 5 transaction institutes. So if all the institutes are running, you can't learn the business. So therefore you have to close the eyes. Go to a silent place. No talk, no smelling, no bodily movements, intentional movements, no. Ask mind to mind your own business. And then be aware of the natural, voluntary and involuntary muscle action of in-breath and out-breath, and there focus the attention. And there you learn the pure theoretical mindfulness, pure theoretical concentration. But in the walking, eyes are open, birds are flying, music are there, and the wind currents are there. But amidst of all the kind of thing, how can you manage to see left, right? So therefore it is not a disturbance, it is an exercise. It's a multivarious way of hardening the very mindfulness you develop in the sitting meditation. And when you go to the day-to-day activities, the intention comes into being. You have to finish it within 1 hour. You have to finish this and that, cater for everything, and there you have to select the priority and focus the attention on the priority and manage the others. So therefore, more and more you become mindful in the day-to-day activities, your versatility, your multivarious development of the mindfulness is become harder and harder. So therefore 3 layers, just like in the hospital, you have the intensive care units, and then you have the normal wards, and even if you go home, if you are recovering, you have to behave in such a way, eat only the suitable food, take only a little bit of exercises like that. So intensive care unit is the sitting meditation. Normal ward is the walking meditation. And go home and take rest as the recovering patient is the day-to-day activities. So slowly, you will take it to the normal ward and then go home.
Thank you very much. When we become aware of delight, the mind is delighting in thoughts or memories or that sort of thing, and we try to suppress the delight, when then can we focus the mind on as a source of happiness? Because sometimes it becomes depressed, because we are not letting it go of delight in anything.
So that means, in simply we can ask, when the delightness or delight is going to take over our mental power, how can we control the delight? Am I correct?
Yes, and also what is a proper source of happiness.
Yeah. So, in the sense we can say this delight or this happiness, what we raised the question upon is a materialistic one. And when that is going to take over, your moral responsibilities and your status, everything will be distracted. So therefore you don't wish to transgress your verbal, physical misdeeds. So therefore you know this materialistic delight is but with disadvantages. So you have to understand how much it is safe, and beyond that how much it is dangerous is first and foremost. And how therefore you have to restrain them. You have to control them. And with that, if we are to control this materialistic pleasure, what is the real pleasure? What is the thing we have to sort out? What is the thing we have to look forward? In the sense, before the Buddha appeared, they thought it is the immaterial pleasure is the one we must look for. And therefore, amisha priti means the materialistic pleasure, delight. Niramisha priti means that immaterial pleasure. And therefore they went to the forest, sit cross-legged, and got the rapture as the mental factor, the serenity as the mental factor, and the gladness and the mental. They found that they are completely cut off from the sense impingements, not even seeing, not even hearing, but the immaterial. And even then the Buddha challenged it. And he told, kind of Avedaita Sukha, a special kind of Santi Sukha, that is the only one Buddha recommended. So it is one side of the question. I think the question raised is, how can we control or how can we take this materialistic pleasure, and our mind is crazy behind the pleasure-seeking game, how can we control? But even there, you use the term, how can we suppress the delight? That is not the way. If you are going to more suppress, it will become more arrogant. So therefore, so far you have come in this samsara with this delight. Of course, sometimes you lose, sometimes you gain it. So therefore, now we have to understand the delight is something, a recurrent thing, that is my characteristic trait. I am a person with a delight. Yet another person may be with the hatred. His character trait is the hatred. Mine is the delight. So, whatever the way we are going to do, it will be recurrent. It will come in again and again. What you have to do is, when the delight is becoming so unruly, when the delight is becoming so gross, it has grown up to a very big level under the light of ignorance, the negligence. That is why the delight becomes big and overwhelming you. So next time you must make up your mind, the delight is not coming out of blue. It is coming out from the very subtle layer and slowly developing, because you are nourishing it. The main nourishment is the ignorance. We got the delay. We fail to see when it arises. So instead of hating the delight, what you have to do, whenever the delight happens, look at it in the sense, I will check it, I will observe it one thought moment before. Next time, another thought moment before. So one day you can see when it is happening, recurring again, recurrent in again and again, observation power bring you back to the source. Two things will be get advantage. One thing is you can really attribute to the source, which is how it happens. Second thing is you can nip it at the bud level. So therefore, when in the Vipassana way, we are not hating the delight.
The source means not one contact with the thought.
Yeah, it may be mind-based. Completely mind-based can be. It might be your past karma or your habits. Specifically, it says each and everyone in a rut. We have our own certain amount of likings and disliking. We are, specifically after you become 40, you are utterly in a rut. You don't like to have other things. You want to have your children, your parents, everything according to your own rut. Then they are parallel. But they are going again with that, they appear like enemies. So you are falling into rut after 40s. And before you can see how the rut is forming. And before, at that time, that is why the Buddha says earlier the better. If you start the meditation early time, it's much better. But the thing is that before 40, very rarely people go for, because to the world it's a wastage of time. You must meditate when you become grey hair, not before. So therefore, but there is no hindrance, there is no blockage, even you start at the early stage. But the basic technique is, you must try to understand the natural characteristics of the delight, but not hating. See how it happens, how it come into being. So therefore, when and where the delight happens, you have to claim, you have to call the mindfulness to come and take witness. How the delight come from, how the delight accelerate and come into this momentum whereby it can break your the moral responsibilities. You transgress your verbal, physical deeds, and that means delight has taken a long time development without the light of mindfulness. Under the light of mindfulness, you can see how it develops. And the next thing is, in order to develop mindfulness, you have to go to a place there is no delight, such emotions, and that is why you sit, go to a silent place and develop the mindfulness as a tool, because you are a type of a person always attacked by the delight, so therefore you must be prepared. But this arms, something like mindfulness and the concentration, you can't develop when you are fighting with the delight. It must be already prepared. So there is two tasks. That means that before knowing that I am a person with the delight, when the delight is coming, you must have already prepared mindfulness, the concentration. That is theoretically or formally you have to develop in sitting meditation. But the delightness is not limited to the sitting. It may come in the day-to-day activities also. Whenever it happens, consider it as a personal trait, personality trait or personal character, and by hating, you are fertilizing it. Instead, try to see how it develops, how it comes into being of this grossness. That delay in understanding is called negligence. Instead, you are going to be diligent and try to see the process that can be done only by humans. No, any animal is not in such an advanced level of mind state. We are in such a, evolutionary, we are in a very advantageous position. So therefore, whatever the state of mind, we can take it as a raw material to observe, so that we can go back slowly to the base, slowly to the origin. So that's an art.
So I understand from your explanation, I understand that by knowing the process from the cause to development, that in itself is the key to our being able to go beyond. There's no other contemplation or other.
Of course, there is a method. They are called tranquility methods, samatha methods. But the vipassana method is see things as they are and then take it under control. Samatha method is, if the desire is the problem, you have to develop the repulsivity as a meditative technique, so that you can balance it, compensate it, but it won't help you to see the root cause. It is just your temporary situation, take the situation under control. It is something like you are applying the balm or kind of a painkiller to a knee problem, but definitely it will heal you. I mean, it release you, but the pain will come again whenever the medical effect is gone. So like that is there, but instead see the cause, root cause, and do particular operation or any kind of thing is something different than this applying the balm. So these are different techniques. But I explain basically through the vipassana method, where that see the whole panoramic view, how it is arising up and how develop into the gross level, and see it as a, how to call, this is the Buddha recommend this as the noble quest. This is called Arya Pariyesana. You only can do when they are red-handed. You can't do the desire yet to arise, already arisen. You have to see it while it is there, while it is burning you, while it is taking you under control, but you are looking at it like an outsider. You are not taking it is my desire. You are not telling that I control it. No. You just see how it develops and see it as is someone else. That viewpoint, that perspective is a technique in order to understand soullessness. It is called parato. Parato means when the desire happens, you take a step out and see the desire as if an outsider is looking at it.
So may I share with this? I think it depends also upon the degree of desire and the degree of mindfulness or Magga. I will call it the other words, Magga. If the Magga has more degree, we can stop by observing, just knowing it. But if the degree of hatred or delightness is more than the power of Magga, we will also be burned by hatred and delightness.
So that's a very nice and simple way of presenting it. The unmeditated, unexposed person have no tools, no Magga, no mindfulness. So the desire will come at will and destroy everything and go. So nothing to do. But knowing that you have to be prepared with the Magga. Magga means that path with the tools such as mindfulness and the concentration. So when it happens, if you are delayed, negligent, it will take over and you will be succumbed. But be vigilant and see before it come up to the highest degree or high acceleration and the momentum, if you can tackle it at the early level, that is why I don't know all the time says when in the karate, when the stroke is starting, you can cut it off. When the stroke got the momentum, it dashed you, it break you. So therefore what it do is, when the stroke is going to get the momentum, at the early stage if you can divert it, easy. So there is now, how do you call the fear is there, comets or any external particle from the space may come and hit the world and there will be a big devastation. They are expecting for another 100 years there is no, but can happen. So if it is going to happen, what they do is, while they are approaching the earth, they have to divert its path. Very slight diversion will completely go to the space without hitting here. Because we detected early and tackle it at the early stages. Even the uncontrollable big things also, by changing the path a little, you can divert it. Likewise, the hatred, the desire, they are also like comets. They appear like coming from outside. Of course, it is not. It is happening within. It's a tackling. How much you can detect it, how much you can check it, how much the mindfulness is stronger in the degree, and how much the desire, weak or strong in the degree, decide the end result. So we are going to sum up the situation because each one has to take little volunteer work.